What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and oh my god, what an idiot. I don't know. Maybe she was trying to make some sort of broader point here, but I think the gold standard in pretty much all scenarios is to not use the big H as a comparison point, just, as a thing of decorum. When I say the big H, I assume you know what I mean, the event that led to the Second World War. But like we've seen it, even when it felt like it was apt, it's still kind of like not a great comparison to make. It's risky. How about that? I'll say it's risky to compare, like, career-wise. If you're a leftist, you can say it's literally like everything's literally like the big H and you're fine. But if you're moderate or conservative, you'll lose your job if you do that. But I don't really watch The View. I can't imagine a more efficient way of burning IQ than watching that show. But what I do know is that Whoopi Goldberg is not very smart. And I don't know if she's trying to make some sort of broader commentary here about white people. But she said that the big H wasn't actually about race. Now, there is arguments to be made from history buffs who want to expound kind of what she was saying there. But I think that's being way too charitable, because most people that are saying, well, okay, I can see where she's going here because of this and this, that's not what she meant. She literally said that it was just between white people. Except there's much history that would at least say how the bad guys from WW2 viewed that group of people, and they certainly did view them as a race. You can see this article in the Daily Wire by Ian Horwath. Yes, the big H was about race. In fact, now ABC's The View claimed it wasn't. During a discussion about a Tennessee school district decision to remove a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the big H from its middle school curriculum. I'd actually never heard of that book. Is it been around forever and I just never heard of it? I don't have any opinions on it. Now, if you're talking about, are middle schoolers ready for this conversation? Maybe. At least the broad strokes of it, I would think. The specifics of it, maybe not, but I don't know. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Goldberg's gaffe. The one that said she's never going to feel safe ever not wearing, as long as she's not wearing a mask. Now I know this is low-hanging fruit, and let me be clear. I'm obviously not healthy either, but Whoopi, I'm cool if, like, thanks for worrying about my health, but like, we're cool. We're cool. I don't think I need you worrying. Why is your mask in your hand too? She's not in good physical condition. That's just, I'm being kind. Okay. She says the big H wasn't about race. Goldberg said, no, it's not about that. It's, and then she said again, after fellow co-host Joy Behar responded, well, they consider Jews a different race. And she says, well, it's about man's inhumanity to man. I guess if you want to remove all the things that were said historically, it's about the supremacy. It's about going after these groups of people, Anna Navarro interjected. But these are two white groups of people. You know that there are Jews who are not white, right? Goldberg says, as her colleagues disagreed. You're missing the point, Goldberg added. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. Nah, I don't know, Whoopi. I don't know if I'm gonna say probably the worst thing that's ever happened in the last 200 years. I don't really think that's a comparison to, like, how people don't open doors for other people anymore. The minute you turn it into a race, it goes down. So let's talk about for what it is, how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. Doesn't matter. Okay, sorry. Because black, white, Jewish folks, Italians, everybody eats each other. There are two fundamentally ignorant premises in which underpin this argument. The first, of course, is that history is simply irrelevant. Regardless of Goldberg's characterization of Jewish folks as entirely white, which will certainly be surprising to both non-white and Jewish folks who have historically been less than welcome by other white groups, it matters in the context of the Big H and how the regime even categorized those people. According to that, during 1939 Germany, God, there's a lot of stuff that dance around here. In 1939 Germany, Jews were certainly considered a race. In fact, the bad guy from WW2 threatened, quote, the total annihilation of their race in Europe. At its core, occupied Germany presented, or the bad guy Germany presented pure Germans as the superior race, whose purpose it was to eliminate inferior races, such as Jewish folks, Roma, and Poles. Indeed, race was the primary lens through which every person was judged from the beginning of the Third Reich. The national state must set race in the center of all life. The bad guy from WW2 wrote in that book, Mein Kampf. The second ignorant premise is that international generalization used to apply to use the Big H to achieve political aims. Goldberg is, in isolation, technically correct when she claimed that the Big H is indicative of how people treat each other. This is true in the same way that all oranges are fruit. That's what I was saying, basically, right? Except it's put much better by someone who's paid to write. However, not all fruit are oranges. And for example, how people treat each other, not all examples of how people treat each other are like the Big H. The reason some prefer to dilute those events into being raceless is because the Big H had become a convenient worst-case scenario tool to present at the end of a very slippery slope argument. If you can make the removal of the Jewish race disconnected from Jewishness, then you can make it about something else, regardless of whether that be bigotry in general, as Goldberg argues, or discriminatory policies like masks or poke mandates. Like many continue to argue, elements of the Big H are cherry-picked in the pursuit of irrelevant political aims. Would the same be accepted for any other group or tragedy? Would Goldberg accept the erasure of African-American experience at the center of the eternal horror that was slavery, for example? Likely not. With her, quote, all lives matter response to the Big H, Goldberg is the one missing the point. It was solely about race, the Jewish race, and that is what, and it's just that the Jewish part was politically inconvenient. Strong words. I'm not going to argue that, I'm not going to say, hey, maybe she was trying to make a different point. But I don't know. You can see here, a few minutes later, Whoopi let go loose of her full anti-Semitic perspective. If we're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because it wasn't about race. Immediately following her false declaration, you could hear a pin drop on the set. It was broken by co-host Sarah Haynes saying no, seemingly in agreement with Whoopi doubling down. No, it's not about race. This kicked off a cacophony of crosstalk where Behar and co-host Anna Navarro pushed back, pointing out that they were targeting Jewish folks based on their race. I just think, in general, you should probably avoid this topic unless you're really, really smart about it. I am not really, really smart about it, but I think that there are some basics that we can all agree on. That Whoopi Goldberg is not very smart. This is the same person. After Bill Maher rejects living in a masked, paranoid world, Whoopi Goldberg chastises the comedian. How dare you be so flippant? She's the furthest thing from healthy. Libby Emmons wrote, this conversation about graphic novel Mouse being pulled from curriculum in Tennessee due to content concerns over pulling the book included the lesson on the Big H that would be skipped. Her co-host offered some pushback, but let her speak. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I think it's probably better to kind of maybe avoid talking about this as a very hot button issue. But of course, Twitter will let it go because she toes the line. You know, I don't see any. I mean, if someone else had made this kind of comparison, pretty sure they'd be canceled. I mean, I'm looking on Twitter. I don't see a single mention of it, and it's actually insane. You can see I don't fully get the point she wants to make here, but I'm sure she could have made it without redefining what the big H was or without referring to it at all. Just don't. It's not helpful. So how many artists are going to stop working with ABC or appearing on The View because this dangerous misinformation that Whoopi Goldberg is spreading? Yeah, I mean, these are the same people that want Joe Rogan deplatformed. These are the people who are telling you what the truth is. Yikes. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.